This is obviously the last session of the day, and it's going to be slightly different to what you've been hearing because my area of expertise is definitely not SEO, anything like that. In fact, I've had to learn the hard way, like probably many people have. My field of expertise is human behavior and performance. So I kind of specialize in helping people understand what behavior is necessary for them to perform the way that they want to perform. So I work with people like Olympic athletes, I work with large corporates, I work with just everyday people who perhaps want to achieve something, but in order to achieve something, they need to understand what is the behavior that is necessary in order for them to get the results that they need. Does that make sense? So listening to you guys talking today and having the opportunity to understand a little bit about what you do, if I was going to bake a cake and the cake was the perfect cake for you to be successful in the field that you're in, one of the main ingredients is definitely going to be relentlessness. You know, this type of world that you're in, it requires so much relentlessness in this business, right? Just to stay ahead of the game because things are changing. You've got pandas, you've got penguins, and now you've got a duck. And now you've got a duck. The more I understand about the world, I mean, the majority of my work now is online, and I'm actually going to show you something in a second because I have a very successful weight loss program. And my weight loss program, the product is a service. We don't sell any products at all. That's not that we haven't thought about selling products. But when I heard Chris speak this morning, I thought what he said was very interesting. So I actually put a message out on Facebook. What do you feel that you need from me and Weight Loss Guru to help you succeed? And it was really interesting just reading these comments that were coming in from people. And I think this is something that we often overlook in business, don't you think? We often really overlook the people that we're doing business with to find out exactly what it is that they actually want from us and what it is they actually need. So I was just going to ask you a few questions, and I'm really hoping that just from this small period of time that we spend together, that you take something away from this session that might be of use to you in some way, shape, or form. Does anyone here think they're perfect? Just put your hand up if you think you're perfect. No, no one thinks they're perfect. Does anyone think they're great? Okay, one person put their hand up. Two people. Does anyone think they're good? Okay, well, you could be thinking about, what do you mean, good? I just came back from America, and I was watching everyone come in here this morning, and everyone that was at the back thinking, oh, where should we sit? Where should we sit? Where are you from? Costa Rica. It was very interesting just to see, because these were the last places to go. Now, if we were in America, you can bet your bottom dollar that these would be the first places to go. I was in America in San Francisco, and I was coming to the end of a speech, and I just said at the end, I said, come on, everyone, let's go for it. And I didn't mean let's go anywhere in particular, but this guy jumps up and goes, yeah, where? Where are we going? And then I heard that voice in my head that I'm sure you've all heard at least once in your life, the voice that goes, oh, shit. Because I didn't mean that. And then I was thinking, have you ever had that experience like where the room just gets really big, you know, like in a scary film? And I was thinking that doesn't happen in England. You know, in England, if you say to everyone, come on, let's do this, most English people will go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna resist everything you say and do. And when it comes to making generalizations, and this is what we're going to look at this morning. I'm going to actually fly through some of these slides and actually come to this. Let's play the generalization game, because you're all in the business of people, right? In some way, shape, or form, you work with people, yes? Yeah. And often you're trying to sell to people. So let's play the generalization game. Give me some generalizations about French people. It doesn't have to be true. It's what? Rude. Rude. Arrogant.
Love.
Love. They love it. What did you say, sir? Garlic. They love garlic. Garlic bread. That's Italians. So give me any other generalizations about the French?
Croissants.
Romantic.
Croissants. Croissants.
Croissants.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give me some generalization about Americans. Fat. Actually fat, but also very thin. Yeah, they're a nation of complete extremes, right? You've probably got the... Sorry? Extreme. What else?
Big size.
What did you say?
Big size.
Big size. Absolutely. Super size. What else? Generalization about Americans.
Loud.
Loud. Over the top. I'll tell you one thing about Americans, they love to win. Winning at all costs. What about generalisation about the Scottish? We've got some Scottish people here. I know some of you are saying, I probably couldn't. They love to drink. Ginger. What else? Other generalised, sorry? Tight. Yeah, what else? Doesn't have to be true, it's just things that we've heard, right? Great lovers. Great at internet marketing. What about the English? Give me some generalisation about the English.
Reserved.
Reserved. Traditional. What else?
Bad teeth.
What?
Bad teeth.
Like what? Bad teeth. It's very true. I'll tell you a generalisation about British people, right? If I had a problem with you, I wouldn't tell you. I'd tell everyone else in this room, I don't like him. He is ridiculous. And then he'd come up to me, because all of you had said, you know, he's got a real problem with you. And they'd say, have you got a problem with me? I'd go, oh, no. No. We're very scared of, we love queuing. We love to moan, we love to complain, we love to focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what we haven't got. Oh, it's too hot, it's too wet. I know these are just generalizations, but it's really important to try and understand your clients. And this is something which most people in business really don't. They claim to, but they don't. What about Germans? Any generalization about Germans?
Efficient.
Efficient.
Hungry.
Square, absolutely. Very square, very visual people. Does anyone here speak German? Put your hand up if you speak German. It's fluent German, yeah? So in the German language, the words for could be, maybe, should be, they don't have those words. You don't meet many Germans going, oh, I don't know whether I will be doing this or this way or that way, no other way. Whereas in England, we'd be going, ooh, I don't know. In fact, Italians and Germans don't get on very well, apart from the Second World War, which they kind of got on in a way. But that's because Italians, generalization about Italians. Sorry? They're cowards? I don't know, I haven't heard that one. But you've obviously, well, Second World War. Right, don't mention the war. Any other generalization about Italians?
Mafia.
Mafia, what else?
Loud.
Loud. Passionate, they're very into their feelings. They move their hands a lot.
Emotional.
They're very emotional. And then with Germans are very visual. And when we mean visual, what that means is we all think in pictures. We don't, again, people often don't realize this. If I said, what did you have for breakfast this morning? You make a picture of it. If I said, what does your bedroom look like? You make a picture of it, right? So because we're all visual, even blind people are visual. They make different pictures to us, believe it or not. I work with the England blind cricket team. And I thought, oh, maybe they just stand there going, shit, I hope I hit it. But the ball makes a sound, and they make a visual representation of it. It's different to ours, but we all think in pictures. So these pictures, they're not in our head. They're out here. What does your front door look like? You make a picture of your front door. It's somewhere out here. So when Germans make a picture of something, and an Italian starts waving his hands in the pictures, it annoys the hell out of the Germans. Now there's actually quite a bit of truth about things like this, but it's so important for you to know your market. What do your people actually want from you? And what about generalizations about human beings in general, the human race? Give me some generalizations about human beings. They want to please. Yeah, what else? They want to be loved. Greedy. Lazy.
Hard to change.
Hard to change. Human beings, we don't tend to be very open to change. We see change as a threat. I think human beings are creative, they're greedy, they're loving, they're frightened. Do you know what the biggest fear in the Western world is? Apparently, so they say, whoever they are. I've always wanted to meet they. You know when someone says they, say, who are these bloody people? But anyway, do you know what the biggest fear in the Western world is, apparently? Dying? No. Change? No. Spiders? No. They're all in the top 10, probably. Loneliness? That's definitely in the top 10. Undervalued? Apparently, the biggest fear is public speaking. All right? Now, if it isn't the number one, you can imagine for most people, the idea of coming up in front of a group of people they don't know and talking about themselves is something which a lot of people would feel very uncomfortable with. Does that make sense? Now you might see if I give you a side profile, I have a very large object in the middle of my face. It's called a nose. I do have a pretty big nose, right? Even you, sir, at the back. It's pretty, you can see it from there. Is it one of the biggest noses you've seen? No, you've seen bigger noses. Much bigger. But it is a pretty big nose. If you look on the top of my head, you can see I've got a hair problem. If you look in my ears, I don't know why, but I've got ear hair. I still don't know exactly what ear hair is about. I've noticed that hairs are now starting to grow on my ears. I've worked it out. I think that hair, is growing down now. It's on my back, it's on my chest. I've also got very big feet. I'm 5'10". I've got size 12 feet. But you know what they say? Oh yeah, by the way, what's the first sign of madness? What's the first sign of madness? Talking to yourself? No, apparently that's the fourth sign. The first sign of madness is having hairs on the palm of your hands. That's the second sign. Looking. The third sign is actually having hair on the palm of your hand. The fourth sign of madness is talking to yourself. Now, if the fourth sign, if it was the fourth or the third or the second, who here is stark raving mad? Because some of you are not putting your hands up, yet I know right now in your head you're saying something to yourself. Right now, most of you have been saying, all day you've been talking to yourself, and I wonder what you've been saying to yourself. Do you know how many thoughts it's estimated that human beings have in one day? Again, God knows how they work this out. With someone just standing there going, oh, brilliant, okay, that's 24 hours, good night. How many, just a rough guess of how many thoughts are human? Thousands? Be more specific, come on. 64,000. It's estimated that we have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts in one day. Now, just imagine this. I know some of you, English isn't your native tongue, but just imagine that you wrote down, or every thought you had in one day was written down in a pad, and it didn't have your name on it, and we passed them all around. So everyone had someone else's thoughts for one day. What sort of observations do you think we would make? What scary? In what sort of common themes would we see? Things that we all think. What sort of emotions would we see quite a lot of?
Fear.
Definitely we see quite a lot of fear. What fear of what? Fear of everything? I mean, some people live in fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you know that they say the biggest fear in the Western world is public speaking, but it's not public speaking that people are really frightened of. I think what it is that people are frightened to show you that they have a weakness. I've worked with some of the best sports people in the world, and believe you me, the ones who don't admit that they have a weakness, if they don't admit they have a weakness, that weakness tends to surface in the heat of competition. I worked with Tim Henman, not that he's the greatest athlete that ever lived. In 1998, he got to the semi-final of Wimbledon for the first time. And he had some issues, and he started to address them, but he didn't really make his weaknesses his strengths. From a sports point of view, the best sports people I've ever come across are the ones who recognize their weaknesses and make their weaknesses their strengths. And that's the thing about human beings, is we are imperfect. You know, look at me. I've got a big nose, I've got a bald head, I'm not perfect. You know, I don't live forever. So if physically I'm not perfect, you can bet inside my head I have insecurities, I have imperfections. It's part of being a human being. Does that make sense? Now, the reason I'm talking about this is twofold. One reason is to challenge you to recognize where are your weaknesses in terms of what you're trying to achieve. I think that's important. Is it that you're lazy? Is it that you don't understand something and you can't be bothered? I don't know. Are there certain habits that you have? But also at the same time to understand the people that you're doing business with, to understand how they feel about where they are. So for example, how many of you are in the business of a weight loss product? Just put your hand up. You're selling some, so most of you. So do you really know what it's like to be overweight to start off with? Have you ever been overweight? Yeah? Why do people want to lose weight in the first place? By the way, I thought it was very interesting this morning when one of the things, the themes that kept coming up is about trust, credibility and value. And if you're going to start putting content together that has a value, you might have to get out of your comfort zone. You might have to start learning stuff. You might have to put yourself up in front of a little camera. Here's my little camera. I just bought this the other day, actually. I'm a bit of a... But what a great little camera this is. It's a new Panasonic camera. High definition. I film myself quite a lot, and then, you know, hi. And I put it up. In fact, let me just show you something very briefly. I'll just give you a flavour of... Just leave that for a second. Hopefully it will play. Maybe it won't. We'll just leave it. Where did I put my clicker? It's nice just to give myself a little bit of a break. You can tell one thing that I'm not short of is enthusiasm, passion, but sometimes it's a nice idea just to stop for a moment. And of those 12 to 60,000 thoughts that you have in a day, what you would probably find if we were all looking at each other's thoughts is we would see there was a lot of nonsense. We'd see there's a lot of stuff that was irrelevant. We'd see a lot of stuff that wasn't true. And human beings tend to be, if we're going to make generalization about human beings, in general, human beings don't like themselves very much. Human beings are very, very hard on themselves. Does that make sense? Basically, we live in a world that says, I'm really sorry, you're not good enough. Sorry about that. But you could be good enough when you buy this. Until it runs out, and then you need more of this. I love going around to women's houses and seeing how many pairs of shoes they've got. Because they've got so many pairs of shoes, right? And how many of those pairs of shoes are actually making them happy? If you're in the business of selling, you really need to learn to understand people possibly a little bit better than you already do. So my challenge to you, let me just bring this back. My challenge to you is to understand and take a little bit more of an understanding and a heightened awareness of the people that you're dealing with. So what does the basic quality of our life come down to? Well, we all know that food and shelter and health, having some form of financial subsistence and having some form of freedom of choice, being a part of a community, this is something I'm seeing more and more of, how important it is for people to feel that they are a part of something. And if you're able to build social networks, that's what, to me, social media was all about. It was all about sharing stuff with people, and that's why Facebook has gone so crazy, because it's people being able to share with other people what it is that they're actually doing. Human beings, we are social beings. We need to share experience. But the basic quality of our life simply comes down to how we communicate with ourselves. And most people don't communicate with themselves very, very well. Most people don't like themselves. What happens when you go in front of a mirror? Maybe you just look and go, maybe you're not even aware. But most women, when they go in front of a mirror, it's very unlikely they'll look in the mirror and go, wow, look at you. You are absolutely beautiful. I can't wait till I get you home. You know, it's this underlying thing which most people don't really like themselves. And by the way, has anyone ever said to you before, how are you? Has anyone ever said that? How are you? Yeah. Do you know where that comes from? How are you? The origins of how are you. It's very biblical. How are you means how are you with God. Now, don't worry, I'm not here to talk to you about religion, because when it comes to religion, I'm a bit confused. You can probably tell, being a Cohen, that I'm Jewish or Jewish, but I'm pretty confused because I went to a Catholic school. So Jews and Catholics tend to know how to feel very guilty. But not just Jews and Catholics. Human beings also know how to feel quite guilty. Human beings know how to feel worried, stressed, anxious. This is what we would see in the day of the 12 to 60,000 thoughts. We'd see, wow, there's quite a lot of stress there. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of anxiety. There's not that much joy. Maybe in you it would be different. Maybe we'd see, hey, look, you're quite happy. Maybe we'd see that there's not actually that much Not too much thinking. Maybe we'd see there'd be more just enjoying where you are. Does this make sense? So, I've already said this already, and I've covered that already. Let me just move on a little bit, and then we can get a little bit more specific of what I want to impart with you. By the way, do you know why technology doesn't always work? Human beings. We made it. So anything we make doesn't work perfectly because we're not perfect. So, who's got one of these? Everyone got a mind. Everyone got a brain. Now, as far as the brain is concerned, a lot goes on in here, right? Does anyone think their brain is overrated? No, does anyone think their brain is amazing? Okay. Does anyone think their brain is overrated? How many things does your brain do that you don't want it to do? How many times you're so tired, you get into bed and you put the covers over you and you close your eyes and then all of a sudden you just start talking to yourself. Did I leave the gas on? Did I send that last email? Did I shut the front door? You just want to sleep. You've given your brain an instruction, but your brain isn't following that instruction. Does this make sense? So the thing about our brains is that our brains only do what our brains think they are supposed to do. This is why we're still on this earth, because we've developed certain habits that we can perform and not forget, that save our lives, like learning to look which way to cross the road. You know, lots of different habits, drinking water when we're thirsty. But what about you? Are there any habits that you have that you would like to break? Now, this is always a great question, because most people don't want to talk about the habits they have they don't want to break. They want to keep it to themselves because it's personal information. But I'm sure there's at least one habit in your life. I wish I could stop doing this. Is there anything? Anyone want to share? Don't worry, you don't have to. But I'm sure there is at least one habit. Or how about a habit that you would like to take on? Maybe that's a better way of framing the question. Is there a habit you would like to have? Who would like the habit of looking after themselves a little bit better? Who would like the habit of being motivated to get up in the morning and do some form of physical activity? Would anyone like that habit? Yes? Are there any other habits you would like? Please don't be such a tough audience. I thought you'd put your hand up. Any other habits you'd like to take on? See, this is the thing. Often when I work with people, sometimes they find it challenging because they feel I'm being personal. And this is another trait of human beings, is they often don't really say how they really feel.
Going to the gym.
Going to the gym. So that's a habit that you would really like to take on. Well, your brain doesn't take you to the gym. You know why? Because your brain thinks, I'm not going to the gym. The gym is boring. Or your brain, I haven't got time. What you need to understand about your amazing brain is it likes to take you into a direction where it feels you're going to get some sort of pleasure. You're going to get something out of it. Does anyone here like pain? No? Some people do. Sadomasochists like pain. You know, some people like being whipped. But most people will do whatever they can in their life to avoid pain and move towards reward. Move towards something which makes them feel good. By the way, do you know why we eat in the Western world? Why most people eat? Comfort? Sorry? To feel good. Because when you eat, it stimulates your senses. It makes you feel good. Part of your challenge in getting people to buy your products is getting them to feeling good about your products before they buy them. How do you do that? It's a good question, right? So just putting content up there, just for the sake of putting content up there, I think those days are numbered. People will buy into things. They will get value from you if you put value into what you're putting out there on the internet. So what's amazing about your brain? Obviously the things it remembers, all of your senses. What's not so amazing about your brain is the habits, the thoughts and feelings that you have, because a lot of them you don't want to have. And yes, we are very much creatures of comfort. And if you are selling any form of weight loss product, I think you should be looking to offer people advice that's far above and beyond just the product. You want to be offering maybe lifestyle tips and tools of how to change your life. So when it comes to some of the habits we have, well, here are some good habits. Cleaning your teeth, drinking water, washing your hands, paying your bills. They're all good habits, right? But what are some of the habits that you would like to break? So this gentleman here said that he wants to take on the habit of going to the gym. Any other habits you'd like to break or take on? How about the habit of procrastinating? Procrastinating. Anyone would like to break that habit? You're definitely not a procrastinator. You just get on and do it. Sorry? You'd like to break that habit. Anyone else who'd like to break the habit of procrastinating? Just putting things off all of the time. Any other habits you'd like to break? Negative thinking? Okay, so look, what you need to understand about your brain is if you had £1 or $1 for every time you procrastinated, you would be, how rich would you be? If you had £1 for every time you went, I can't be bothered to go to the gym, how rich would you be? If you had £1 for every time you joined a health club and not gone. See, if I was to stick my hand out to shake your hand like this, chances are you'd shake my hand back because that's something you do, that's something you've learned to do. Your brain is only trying to protect you. Your brain is only trying to do what it thinks is best. It thinks that going to the gym is the last thing on earth that you want to do. So why would it make you do it? This is the thing, we're often fighting ourselves. How do we stop fighting ourselves and get the best out of ourselves? That's what I think a lot of people are now looking for. I think there are more people in the world now that are looking to be liberated from themselves because we are in our own way. We are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst critic. Why? Because the world almost wants us to feel that way, right? Because what happens if you don't feel good? You'll probably go out and buy something. What if we all woke up, not that any of you are going to do this, but let's just say we did. We started a sect, a movement today, and we said, we're not going to buy anything ever again. Right? I know this is the last thing on earth that any of you are going to do. But just imagine if we went out and we persuaded 100 people a day to join our sect. How many, after 5 weeks, how many people would we have? And then we went down to Oxford Street in a big group, and we went into Harrods. We didn't buy anything. How long would it be until everyone said, get out of here? You have to buy something. Now, what people buy, this is the thing. We know we're in a time of recession. We know in a time where people are being a little bit more careful with the things that they're buying. I think people are still prepared to buy something, but what they buy, they do want value in some way. Now, what does that value mean? How could you provide value to someone? You could just send them the product, but you might actually want to phone them or email them after a week and say, how are you getting on with the product? And actually go above and beyond, because most people can't be bothered. That's another generalization about people, is we get very comfortable. And most of you will leave the room today and just carry on doing what you were doing before, because that's easy. That's simple. You won't have to do anything different. By the way, does anyone here share a bed with someone? Just put your hand up. So you probably won't be with that person tonight. Maybe you'll be with someone else. But when you do go home and you go back with your partner, go, hi, darling, I want that side of the bed tonight. The other side. And your partner will go, what? The bloody hell did you do in Nottingham? Say, no, we can't change because all my stuff is on that side. We have to keep things the way that they are. And as Andrew was saying this morning, if you don't change your ways, and really that's why coming here today, I suppose for most of you, has been very useful, because you've got to listen to some people who are at the top of their game and really know what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's still down to you to go away and do something different. But I'm very interested in prehistoric man. Why? Because prehistoric man is very different to us, isn't he? Prehistoric man, do you know how long it was estimated that prehistoric man worked for in a week? 17 hours. How the hell did they work that out? But basically, prehistoric man, his job, man, not woman, man, would be to go out and basically hunt. Kill something, bring it back, eat it, then lie down and, sleep, lots of naps in the day, and probably some singing and some drawing when they learned to do those sorts of things. But they had to work really hard to get what it is that they wanted. You know, it wasn't really easy. Food wasn't that just brought to them on the, like it is with Domino's Pizza. We live in a world where it's very easy just to get comfortable and not do anything. And if you really want to get ahead of the game, like I said at the beginning, you're going to have to be relentless. You're going to have to look at what are the best people in your line of work doing and figuring some of that out. A lot of those guys won't give away their trade secrets, but I think you can find out a lot of what people are doing who are very successful affiliates and copy them and maybe even do what they're doing and do it better. But it's so easy just to do what you've done before. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So my personal challenge to you when you leave here today is to commit to something, whatever it is. Just commit to doing one thing, just as I was saying to you this morning, this gentleman here. You know, he's got one product, right? Just one product. He's been focusing on that product, getting that product right before he makes his move. By the way, the product that you were talking about, what's it called? The anti-inflammatory? One of the reasons people are so unwell is that our diets are we eat so many, it's not saturated fat that's the problem, it's more things like vegetable oils, hydrogenated oils, which cause the body to inflame. And anything you can take that causes, which is an anti-inflammatory, which is what your product is going to promote health in the body. If you look at Americans now, they're like balloons. Years ago, if someone was overweight, they might be just in their hips, might be in their stomach. Now you're seeing this kind of, I don't know whether you've seen Charlie in the Chocolate Factory with that girl that blows up like a blueberry. That's what we're seeing more and more of this, and that's a product I would definitely, I'd be very interested in getting involved with, because there's more and more people that are getting more and more inflammation in their body, which results in more arthritis, more pain, more, what's the word? Circulatory issues. And also green teas as well, like you said, there's so much studies been done. The Chinese have known this for a long time. You don't see many fat Chinese people. You're starting to see more and more because there's more inflammatory foods like McDonald's, like Kentucky Fried Chicken in China now. So are you going to do anything different? I mean, what about smoking? What about biting your nails? Does anyone do that? Do they want to stop? People smoke, people bite their nails in many cases because they're insecure. And when they smoke, they feel secure. It makes them feel like, you know, I'm secure, I'm here. And this is the thing about your habits. If you want to break a habit, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Because if you smoked, which some of you do, because I saw you smoking outside, if you said, right, I'm not going to smoke anymore, I'm stopping now, no more, hooray! You go outside and you go, well, oh no, I'm not smoking. And then you'd see a friend of yours and they'd offer you a cigarette, oh yeah, oh no, I'm not smoking. And your brain would try to take you in the direction that you've been before. And those of you that have ever watched Star Trek, are you prepared to boldly go where no man has been before, or to boldly go, or baldly go, where you haven't been before? But that requires you to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, has anyone ever found themselves?
It's we coming in and welcome. It is Wimbledon. Who's going to win? It's all about who stepped on the court and feels like they're a winner. Now, when it comes to life, do you see yourself as a winner or as a loser? And when it comes to weight loss, are you a loser or are you a winner? Now, for most people, they are losers. And this is what I say to people who have tried to lose weight in the past. How do you feel? Now, if they're being really honest, they will tell you deep down that they feel like a loser. They look in the mirror, they don't like what they see. They try losing weight so many times in the past.
So that's a really good point, actually. I've obviously made this video because it's Wimbledon, and I know that by making it and getting Wimbledon in my title, that I'll get lots of people coming to it. But when it comes to losing weight, most people who tried to lose weight are losers. They've lost weight and they've put it back on. They're losers and they feel like losers. And this is one thing I'd really encourage you. If you're selling weight loss products, you need to try and help people to understand that by taking your product, they could end up being a winner. Who wants to lose? Weight loss is so negative, isn't it? My program's called Weight Loss Guru because you have to meet the market where it's at, and most people want to lose weight. But weight loss is a very negative term, isn't it? Weight loss, weighting, heavy, loss. Has anyone here ever lost anything in your life? Have you ever lost anything and then found it? Like your keys? Yeah. What you want to focus your, sorry? Your phone. What you want to be focusing on your products is saying, look, you take this product, and it's not only going to help you lose weight, but we're going to help you to keep that weight off. We're going to provide you with tips and tools to support the product that you're taking. Does that make sense? But maybe your products are so good, you don't need anything else, you know? But you can tell I am my own brand, so maybe it's a little bit different. I'm sorry that I'm kind of jumping around all over the place. I hope you don't mind. I'm dyslexic. KO? Sorry. Okay. That was a joke. Don't worry. It didn't go down very well. So that, you know, often the biggest habits that we need to break is the habit of not being so hard on ourselves. If you had £1 for every time you talked yourself out of going to the gym, you'd probably have a lot of money. If you had £1 for every time you were hard on yourself and put yourself down, you'd probably be a multi-millionaire. And that's probably one of the best habits that anyone can break. See, the nature of our mind, there's 2 points I'd really like you to take away with you today, and maybe they'll stay with you, and maybe they'll make a difference. The first thing is to understand the nature of the human mind. We've all got one, right? The nature of our mind is, what does our mind do? Well, of all the people that I've worked with, what I see more than anything else, and if we read our thoughts for a day, we'd say, my God, your mind doesn't half play a lot of tricks on you. My God, why were you thinking about that? That didn't happen. That wasn't true. You'd see that our minds play loads and loads and loads of tricks on us. Does that make sense? I've worked with lots of golfers. Professional golfers stand behind the golf ball and go, right, I want to hit it over there, but I hope I don't hit it over there. It's gone over there. Or they're standing over a putt and go, I hope I don't miss. Their mind is playing a trick on them. How many times today do you think your mind has just played a little trick on you? That's what our minds do. So how do you conquer your mind? Because that's something most of us probably want to do, don't we? We want to conquer ourselves. How do you conquer your mind? Well, it's so simple what I'm going to say to you that the chances are none of you will do it. It's so simple you won't do it. If you can't find humor in what you think, you lose. If you can't find humor in what goes on inside your head, you are a victim. Now, I don't know how many of you remember when you were very, very, very young. Probably don't remember this. But those of you that have children that are age 3 and below, does anyone have children that are age 3 and below? How old? 1.5.
2.
2. How many of you have got children that are older than 3? So do you remember your children when they were young? Do you remember what they used to do? When they used to play with things, they would vocalize what they were doing. They go, kill, destroy, if they were boys, you know. And be playing, I love you, and they would just, that's what they would do. And they thought they were the center of the world when they were very young. They honestly thought the world was theirs. And as they got a little bit older, they became a little bit more self-conscious, didn't they? They realized, what's he doing? And then mothers that go, no, you're embarrassing me. What's that all about? Anyway, what happens with children is, as they start to become more self-conscious, and then they don't speak so loudly, they don't start going, and he's just playing it. And then they stop saying out loud what they're thinking. That's when we all start to have problems. When we start to try and make sense of the world by making sense of it inside our head, most of us do become a little bit crazy. In some cases, we become more than crazy. We have 2 or 3 voices inside our head, which we've all got, right? You're lying at home, you're thinking, should I do the washing up? Ooh, I don't know. No, leave it. No, you should do it. No, you've got to do it. Oh, shut up. You ever had, oh, you should go to the gym? I hate the bloody gym. It's boring. Yes, but you're getting fat. But I don't want to. It's rubbish. I'd rather watch EastEnders. Those of you that live in Great Britain, you know we have a program called EastEnders, which is completely dysfunctional. Nothing works. Everything is broken. And people love that stuff. And they wonder why their lives start becoming more and more like the programs that they're watching. It's like a boomerang. What you send out comes back to you. So I just wonder if there's anything that you could do. And I challenge you, when you leave here today, for the next 3 weeks of your life, I challenge you, when you notice that your mind is playing tricks on you, see if you can laugh at what you think. See if you can smile at what's going on inside your head. Last year, I was faced with a very, very difficult situation. If I asked you what sort of a person you are, what sort of things would you say? Again, not many people are going to say anything, are they? But anyway, we'll try. If I say, what sort of a person are you, how would you describe yourself? Okay, I'll maybe make it a bit easier for you. I'll tell you one thing about myself. I've always believed that there is an answer to everything. I've always believed that. That's who I am. And last year, that was tested to the absolute max because I was told there was nothing that could be done. Now, what about you? What sort of a person are you? I'm not going to move any further until someone says something.
Selfish.
You're a selfish person? Yep. Okay, what else? How about something positive? Actually, that's pretty positive to be selfish, I think. But people associate selfish with being negative, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just taking the word and finding a different... Sorry? You find solutions to things, yeah? What about you? How would you describe yourself?
Hardworking.
Hardworking? What else?
Optimistic.
Optimistic? What else? How would you describe yourself?
Proactive.
Proactive? Come on, just shout something out.
Thinker.
Sorry? You're a thinker?
Fun.
Fun?
Compassionate.
Compassionate? Positive? Brilliant? Absolutely, you are brilliant. I know some people go to India to find themselves. And I'm thinking, what? You're walking down the road and you're going, shit, it's me. Where have I been? I found myself. You don't have to go to India to find yourself. You could look in the mirror and go, hi, it's me. And you can acknowledge the fact that you are amazing, you are brilliant, there's only one of you. You can try and find yourself, but you'll never, maybe you would find an identical person to you, but I doubt it. And we don't recognize our strengths. We don't recognize what we have. And this is what I really challenge you to do, is to recognize there are things that you could do that will allow your businesses to grow and be more successful. And I challenge you, but you probably won't do it, write something down and say, I'm going to commit to do this. So when you come in this room, if it is in this room, next year, and you could look at someone in the eyes and say, you know what, I took my business from this and I took it to there. I really focused on this. I really started going to the gym. If you write it down and you actually tell someone that you're going to do it, you are far more likely to do it than not do it. When you make a public declaration, this is what I'm going to do. Now, last year, my girlfriend was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of a brain tumor. And basically, she had surgery, she had radiotherapy, and then we were told there's not much that she could do. Now, I don't know about you, I just looked all over the world to find out who is still alive who has this condition. I'm not a scientist, so I found some people, and I found out what they did. And a lot of these people went to go and see this doctor in America, a guy called Dr. Basinski, who does treat people, especially with brain tumors. But then I started talking to people who are in the know, and they said, don't go there, he's bad. He's a charlatan, he'll take everything you've got. I was saying, hang on a second, what do you really know about this? Anyway, it transpires that we went over there against the advice that we were given, and my girlfriend's tumor has almost completely disappeared. Now, the only reason I tell you this is that you are in businesses where some people will tell you you can't do this, or some people, maybe you have to find out answers for things. But there are answers. But one of the things you're probably going to need to do is learn to shut the duck up. Because we all have a duck inside our head that quacks away. A duck in our head that tells us, we can't do this, don't do that. You could say that the basic quality of our life comes down to how the duck communicates with us. Especially if you want to get over those issues with the pandas and the penguins, you might need to shut the duck up. Now, a friend of mine worked with a very famous French football player. He played for Manchester United, and he'd been sent off. And as he was walking off the pitch, someone shouted something at him, a supporter. And he saw red, and he kicked this guy in the chest. He got in trouble. He was banned from playing football. He got taken to court. He got in big trouble. A friend of mine who was a psychologist went to work with him and was desperate to help this person. It was the most famous person he'd ever worked with. And he said to this football player, do you ever hear voices? Do you ever talk to yourself? Do you ever give yourself a hard time? What were you saying inside your head that made you kick this person? The football player didn't understand the question. So my friend kept trying hard to get through. Have you ever tried to get through to someone, by the way, and it hasn't worked? And you kept going with the same approach? Have you ever done that? It's not working, what you're doing, but you keep trying. That's called insanity. That's another generalization about human beings, is we often find it very difficult to be flexible, stop what we're doing and have another go at doing it from another perspective. When I was a PE teacher, the most annoying thing about that was teachers. Teachers used to say, there's nothing we can do about this child. Excuse me? Change your approach. Don't expect other people to change. You've got to go first. So this conversation's going nowhere with the French football player, and after about half an hour, my friend in his head is going, I've blown it, I'm not getting through to this person. And then there's silence. And then the French football player goes, you mean the duck in my head? And then my friend in his head goes, oh shit, this guy thinks he's got a duck in his head. Now, if someone thinks they've got a duck in their head, it's probably not a good idea to go, look, don't be so stupid. You're an idiot. It's probably goes, really? What's the duck's name? What's he doing? It's like a child who's got an imaginary friend. You wouldn't go, oh, shut up. Why don't you grow up? What a stupid thing to say to a child, by the way. You say, really, what's his name? Oh, Steve. Is he coming for dinner? Okay. And you'd lay Steve a place. You'd entertain the child in their world. That's what you've got to do. You've got to enter into your client's world a little bit and find out what it is they want from you. Maybe some of them just want your products and nothing else, but maybe some want some added value, some added content, some added, we care about you. We want to know how you're getting on with our product. How you feel about our product is important to us. Making people feel that they are valued. The French football player just basically goes, you mean the duck? And then my friend goes, have you ever thought about getting the duck to shut up? Shut the duck up. And then he goes, shut the duck up. And then realizes that he actually has control over what he thinks, which most of us do. So listen, guys, please forgive me because my talk has been quite random. And I hope that you've taken maybe you've just enjoyed me presenting, which would be nice. But maybe you'll take something away. But the last thing I want to say to you is basic human needs. What are they? Give me some basic human needs. Food, shelter, what else? Sleep, love, companionship.
The internet.
The internet, absolutely. Well, you think it is, wouldn't you? But it is actually for so many people. They need it. You need it. I need it. Money is a basic human need. I'll tell you one basic human need which actually comes in with what you were just saying there, which we often don't think about. And that's acceptance. If you walked through the world and everyone ignored you, how long would it be until you just went up to someone and said, please acknowledge the fact that I'm here? We are social creatures. We need acceptance. We need affirmation. But we live in a world today which is, listen, mate, I'm sorry, I haven't got time. All right, I'll see you later. Yeah, I'll send you an email. We don't even look at each other in the eyes. And it's quite difficult if you're dealing, your business is predominantly online and you don't get to see your clients face to face. You could always Skype them if you wanted to. But you don't have to necessarily look at someone and speak to them. But people need affirmation. People need acceptance. And if you can go out of your way to affirm your clients, they will feel loyal to you. But that takes a little bit of hard work. I was a fitness trainer for many years, and I did my dissertation at university on why people don't adhere to exercise, why they don't do it. I spoke to 100 people who had stopped using the gym at different periods of time. All I did was phone them up and ask them why they stopped coming. Our retention improved. Of those 100 people, about 40 of them came back simply because I phoned them up and asked them why they weren't coming. Now, if you were going to start doing something like that with your products or just doing things, how can I add value to what I'm offering? And commit to doing one thing and mastering it, chances are you'd move into a different game. Your businesses would grow. The power of creation. You know, you look at all of these things now. Look at the Walkman. Who remembers that? You know, who remembers that? The man that's the Wright brothers. I don't know what that is. Things have developed so fast. And you're in a world where you're working online where things are moving probably faster than any other field. You guys need to be ahead of the game. If you have dreams, they can come true, but they really do start off with you learning how to shut the duck up. So tonight, when you're talking to someone, maybe inside your head, you could shut the duck up. Because if I'm talking to you and you're talking in your head, you're not listening to me. And this is a great thing to do, actually, when you're face-to-facing with clients, is actually just shut up and really listen to what they're saying. By the way, this is why relationships between men and women don't work. Because if I said, hey, everyone, I've got a great business. You've got to invest into it. It's called marriage. How many of you would go, yeah, I'm in? First of all, look at the statistics. 60% of marriages end in divorce. Did you know that? Now, one of the reasons marriage doesn't work is men don't listen to women. Because men, this is a generalization, women need to talk. I've spent 5 years with my internet program online. We have a blog just for women. Well, it's not just for women, but 99% of people who use it are women. And I've read for years what women think, what women want, right? And often, women just need to vocalize what they're experiencing, what's going on for them. But men often feel uncomfortable when women start talking because we want to fix everything. And that annoys a woman because a woman doesn't necessarily want something to be fixed. She just wants to explain how she's feeling. These are generalizations. So shut the duck up. Remember that your mind plays tricks on you. When it's playing a trick on you, maybe see if you can laugh at what you think, not take yourself too seriously. How do you conquer your mind? Shut the duck up. And of course, just don't give up. You know, if life was easy, it would be boring. And the greatest quality in human beings isn't what we achieve, it's what we have to find in ourselves to deal with something that is difficult, right? We've all been faced with things that are difficult, and we've all got something inside ourselves to overcome something that is difficult. I'm sure there are difficult times ahead. I'm sure there are great times ahead for all of you. I really hope you've enjoyed my presentation. If you guys want to look at my blog, it is weight loss focused, but there's some great content on there, articles, podcasts, videos, all about nutrition and health and fitness. It might give you guys some ideas. If you want to email me, feel free to email me with any questions. This was a book that I wrote some time ago. It's called Life DIY. It's taking the principles of DIY and applying it to yourself. How do you rewire your brain? How do you fix leaks? How do you feng shui yourself? So I've got a few copies of these. If any of you want to, buy one. Buy one, get one free. No. Any questions? I really hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I know you're going to have a great night tonight, those of you that are here. Enjoy yourselves. I imagine a lot of you do work very hard, so maybe take the opportunity tonight to let your hair down if you have any hair. Have fun and have a great time. I've got some cards here if you want any. Thank you very much.